All right, guys, welcome back. And what is the one biggest obstacle for new breeders? What do you think that is? Do you think it's buying the right pairings? Do you think it's incubating the eggs? Do you think it's growing up the snakes that you buy? Maybe. It could be any of those things. But I think one of the hardest things, most stressful things for new breeders is actually feeding their hatchlings for the first time and getting them to eat consistently. And so that's what this video is going to be about. Now, I haven't been doing this for 20 years. I haven't produced 10,000 snakes, but the 500 plus hatchlings that I have produced since I've been doing this, to me, should not be considered a small sample size. I mean, the success rate that I have feeding my snakes, the hatchlings, the brand new out of the egg, just shed snakes, is astounding. I would estimate that of the 500 plus hatchlings that I've had in here, that the way that I feed them, they take their first meal the day after they have their first shed. At least 98% of the time, maybe even 99% of the time. And that 1% or that 2% that don't eat are typically snakes that give me problems for quite a while. And it takes a while to figure out what they want to eat, how they want to eat it, when to feed, if there's a certain time of the day. And those are problem feeders, and that does happen. And that's going to happen to you. But the regular snakes, the average snake, which to me seems like it's 98, 99% of my snakes, always eat their first meal or within a day or two of having their first shed. Sometimes I offer it the first day and they don't take it. So then I offer it the second day and they do take it. So this is like basically they eat basically right away is the easiest way to put it. And this is it. So don't go around looking for difficult answers. Don't go around switching up the formula. It works. Anybody that does it this way will tell you that it works. This is not something that should be overcomplicated. The same way that I've made videos about incubation and why you don't need to use substrate in there, media, all you need is a hatch tray and water. This is the same thing. Let's not make things more complicated than they need to be. We are smarter these days. We have more technology. We have more understanding on what works in incubation and what works in feeding. So we should use that knowledge and that power so that we're not making things more difficult than they need to be. So these 5 snakes, this clown pied clutch that I hatched, they just all shed out yesterday. As you can see, there's mice in here. This one didn't eat yet. But let me show you exactly what we're feeding here. So this is an average size hatchling ball python, and I just threw these mice in here about 2 hours ago. Sometimes these snakes, actually one of these took it pretty much right away. This snake here actually took the food right away. Within 30 minutes, the mouse was gone, okay? Completely gone. These snakes all just shed out yesterday. As you can see, you know, I have these, the ones up here, these are all the clown pied sheds that I'm keeping so I can test for Het MJ when the test comes out. These are all fresh sheds. These are all fresh sheds on these snakes. This snake already ate. A couple of these other ones are still thinking about it. Now let's see if this one still has a mouse in here, so he didn't eat yet. But see how this isn't a hopper. This is a small mouse. This is like a fully small mouse. There's no hopperishness to it. This is a mouse that can walk, it can talk, it can squeak, it can eat, which is a perfect size for an average size hatchling ball python. Let's see. This one's thinking about it. This snake actually shed a little later than the other ones. But look, he's thinking about it. The only mistake I made here is I should have taken all their water bowls out. That was kind of dumb because the mice end up pooping in it and you got to fully clean it out. But look at this. Come here, Mousy. Come here. Come on. Do you see the size of this mouse in my hand? Looky. That is the size mouse that your ball python can eat when it's a hatchling. It doesn't need, you don't want it any smaller than that. And let me tell you why. If your mice are smaller than that, He's thinking about it, and I guarantee this guy will probably eat later on today. Your mouse needs to be moving around this much. This mouse needs to be this active in here because you're trying to get your snake to have its prey drive kick in for the very first time. If you're putting pinkies in there, if you're putting hoppers, something weaned size where they're barely moving and they're more about just nesting down, they're not moving a whole lot. That's not getting your snake's prey drive to kick in. So it's not thinking to itself, oh, you know what? I should eat that thing. That's actually my food. This is like, you need to think about this in a very archaic manner. These guys, they're more intelligent than people give them credit for, but they're not smart. They're not super smart animals. Sometimes you need to kind of hit them in the face with what's going on here. And in this scenario, you get these mice, these small size mice. It's a good size meal for your snake. It moves around a lot. As a matter of fact, as you can see, they don't quit moving around. Let me get him back in there. They just keep moving and moving and moving. And as you can see, that snake's not comfortable. And you know what? I don't want that snake to be comfortable. I want that snake to think, what's going on here? I need to think about this a little bit. What is this thing? It smells good. I'm kind of hungry. Should I eat that? Maybe. I think so. That's what you want to happen. And this is the thing that works. This works for me every time. This last snake, who I didn't want to... Oh, here we go. So this is okay to walk at. This is the other clown pied. Look, he's swallowing right on camera. That's his first meal. He took one of these mice. Now, I've left these in here for a couple hours, and that's okay. Leaving these mice in here for a little bit of time isn't going to harm anybody. There's water in there. The mouse can drink. These mice are kind of too small to really harm your snakes. They're not something that I ever worry about. I'm going to slowly slide this back in so I don't freak him out. But don't overcomplicate feeding. If you put in a couple small mice into all your hatchlings there, and they don't eat it right away, it's okay to leave it in there for a little bit of time. If you leave it in there a few hours and your snake still doesn't take it out, try again tomorrow. Typically, they will eat that second day. I usually don't have, again, the success rate of me feeding this is 98, 99% within my first or second try. And that second try is always like a day later. I'm not waiting a week. I'm not waiting 2 weeks. This is within 2 days of these snakes having the first shed. 98 to 99% of the time, this works. That other 1% are just the snakes that are terrible eaters. And they continue to be terrible eaters for the foreseeable future. It works. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overthink it. This is proven over 500 plus snakes. And again, some of you that have been breeding for a long time, or some of you that have been overbreeding in a short period of time, might say, that's not a lot of snakes. 500 snakes is a lot of snakes. I'm not saying that I had 2 clutches and something worked for me over 2 clutches. This is over 6 years. This is over 500 plus snakes with an extremely high success rate. It's not a 50% success rate. It's 98 to 99%. Typically, I have 1 or 2 snakes a season that are a pain in the butt out of 100 snakes that give me a problem. Everything else eats right away, which, if you've ever purchased a snake from me as a hatchling, you'll see that it's a healthy, well-fed snake. I'm not sending out emaciated snakes. I'm not sending out snakes that are underweight. I'm not sitting here force-feeding all these snakes so I can get them out the door. They're eating on their own. They arrive to where they're going and they eat on their own, and they're a healthy weight because I do this. So if you want your snakes to grow at a healthy rate, follow this. If you're having trouble getting your hatchlings on food, out of the egg, out of their first shed, do this. And it makes your life a lot easier. Don't overcomplicate stuff. If somebody's already doing something that's highly successful, and it's simple and easy, don't try to reinvent the wheel. You're making it harder. Don't be difficult. I will guarantee you, if you don't currently breed mice, and this might work with ASFs, I haven't tried it yet fully, but ASFs do worry me a little bit more because they're a little more bitey. They can, at least mine anyways. So I'm not really going to speak about ASFs in this video because they might work, but I haven't tried it. So I'm not going to tell you guys that it works. I know this works. I have zero doubts in my mind that this works. Actually, Chris, if you're watching, he actually said that my video about feeding, or I commented or something a couple weeks ago about this, and he actually said all the snakes ate the first time he tried it the way I said to do it. It worked. It works. I'm telling you it works. Please don't be difficult. Please don't be stubborn. Please don't think you're going to find a magical way to do it. Just do this, and it'll make your life so much easier.